gentlemen, the following presentation is brought to you by Mr. Main Event Brian Waters and the Real Dwayne Allen. The Wrestling Wrealm, the show for the intelligent wrestling fans. Off the top rope, I dwell in the wrestling realm. Like Jake stay in the snake pit and Kane be in hell. Like Taker stay in the graveyard and Punk in the shy. Call me Snooker cause I'm super and fly. You can hate all you want, but I'm flossing. The Miz said I'm awesome, and I'm upholding the law just like the big boss man. With Mr. Main Event Brian Waters, the real Dwayne Allen, toss you over the border like Hernandez, Mandez, pressing the stands. It's the show for the intelligent wrestling fans. Hitman like Hawk, but I'm not from Calgary. I'm all about the bill, so let that gold dust shower me, empower me like Farouk and the nation. If you don't know your history, then you should change the station. But if you do, you can cruise to YouTube / the Wrestling Wrealm. Your lessons are stale. Say the same old lines, man, you destined to fail. Like the Shockmaster or the Wrestler Nails. I'm a heartbreak kid, and my bid to be champion is unmatched. Anybody step, I'm face planting them. With Mr. Main Event and the Real Dwayne, you the sisters of love, we the powers of pain. You see we coming with a spear while you're monkey flipping. It's Brian Waters, Dwayne Allen, and your boy Trenton. And that's just how the story goes. That's just how the story goes. It's the Wrestling Wrealm, baby. The Wrestling Wrealm. Mr. Main Event Brian Waters, the Real Dwayne Allen, and I'm your boy Trent CMG. You know what it is, baby. Let's go.
Yep, but match was, I think one of the most unorthodox matches Triple H's ever been in. Probably the most dangerous one he's ever been in.
Yeah.
But
that one wrong move, because Chaos' Warrior was in the ring, so they say. I'm gonna just go because I don't know. We might not have Triple H here.
Yeah, it looked that way. It's brutal. Especially when you know and then you watch, you like, this, whew. Thank God Triple H was okay.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, I enjoyed seeing the early Triple H because I loved his, I hated the character. Just when his music played, his first music, I hated that. He'd come out, he was fans, he'd be swiping at the fans, he'd do a little dumb bow.
So good at it, so good at what he does.
He really is though. I hated his guts, but I loved his work in the ring, and I like to watch his older stuff now because it's like I said, that '90s feel. Moving on to the next match was Undertaker and Diesel and Paul Bearer.
Woo!
Now this one is one of those matches, ladies and gentlemen. This is one of those matches that really made me say, "Wow." This is one of my second favorite WrestleMania. I really love this match because I love their feud.
The story. Royal Rumble.
It was just
Undertaker's leaving.
Right.
Coming out to the ring. Diesel's leaving after he just got lost the Royal Rumble match.
Right.
I'm not scared of the dark.
Right, yeah.
And then comes out the next night on Raw. When I was a little boy, I used to get in trouble. My mother used to put me in the dark. I didn't cry like regular kids. I'm not scared of the dark.
Says it again. Get your juices flowing.
Kevin Nash is great on the mic.
He really is though.
He's great,
Granted, that whole Diesel run is not necessarily overshadowed by his Kevin Nash run in WCW, but let's not forget that's why he got his start. He was he was world champion before Shawn Michaels was.
Yep.
Shawn Michaels brought that guy in. One, I was a tall kid, so I always root for the tall wrestlers, except Giant Gonzalez. There's no excuse for that guy.
El Giante.
And we ain't gonna touch that one though. Yeah. But I enjoyed Undertaker versus Diesel because I like the story. I like even when Bret Hart was beefing with Diesel, they were world title. I like how back in the day, you don't see this a lot. Mm-hmm. How like two guys could be beefing with two different guys for different reasons. Like Diesel was beefing with Bret Hart over the WWE title, but Undertaker had a bone to pick with Diesel.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Love the fact when he cut the thing and pulled him under. Stuff like that. The cage.
Yes.
Loved when Undertaker had made the wax thing of Diesel. He opened the casket. He was in there. Stuff like this, classic Undertaker stuff. That's when I was like, man, Undertaker.
I was like, yo, I couldn't imagine. You imagine look in the casket, you see a image.
And that thing was like when I saw it, I was like, well, that's a really looking good, you know, because and you saw him do it again with the Randy Orton and Cowboy Bob later on in life,
Yeah,
you know, later on down the line. But like stuff like that is, I call it classic Undertaker because that's just what he does.
That's the Undertaker.
That's and that's like, and you saw it in full force in the mid '90s a lot of times. Beginning, not say beginning, but like early on, you saw it when he first debuted with the whole cast and stuff, and he had the what was it called?
The Paul Bear.
The Paul Bear segment.
Yeah,
it was called some. I want to call it like
the parlor.
Yeah, that thing. Yes, that's you know, but it had the thing, and Undertaker will come out the casket, or even that time when he put Ultimate Warrior in the casket, stuff like that. Even Hogan, like I love stuff like that, and when he did it to Nash, it played mind games and stuff like that, and you would see Kevin Nash backstage destroying the caskets because he was so nervous. I like how Undertaker would have people on edge just because of who he was. Like Undertaker didn't have to do anything, but the fact that he would just say, "Listen, I'm watching you," in some way, shape, or form, people would be so paranoid. And Kevin Nash did everything he possibly could to show Undertaker that he was not what he really was. And then the match came. In my opinion, it's probably one of the best, if not in my opinion, the best big man match I've seen. In between like that, Kane versus Undertaker at WrestleMania 14, and a couple of other here and there. But that was probably one of my favorite. In my opinion, that's the best tombstone I've ever seen in my entire life. That is my favorite. You know, everybody has like that one favorite. That is my favorite move. That is my favorite tombstone I've ever seen. I don't know what it was because you know, maybe because he was tall or weighty, the way he took it or whatever. But that was the best. That's my favorite tombstone of all time. That's one of the matches that says, okay, that's always stuck out of my mind. I can watch that match any time of the day and never get old. Well, like I said, that's one of the bigger staples as to why this is my all-time favorite. I mean, look how I talk about this match.
I see. You went to 100% realness.
I mean, that's what it is. You know what I mean? That's just what I love so much about this match. And like I said, it's one of my favorite WrestleMania moments, matches, whatever you want to call it. Moving on to Roddy Piper versus defeated Goldust. Now the match was a bit unorthodox because it started, you know, one place and then it made that transition. It's funny because they did the whole OJ thing.
Can you see preview of the Attitude Era?
Naturally, and you saw them like you see at points at this time in '96, right?
Yeah,
where they're testing the waters.
And
you see an edgier product because WCW is just kicking everybody's tail with this whole realness thing, because everything was real with them, everything was reality based.
Right.
So you have a guy like Goldust, just controversial for the time, but nowadays anything goes. But controversial for the time, and you got a guy like Piper, who was sort of smash mouth, you know, hard nosed. Pretty much the story between them is, you know, exaggerated, as I like to say. It was funny because it started one place and ended up, you know, in the ring with Piper stripping Goldust, and he had like this lingerie. That's like pure gold. That was just pure Goldust at the time. But that stuff like that made him who he was.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Not necessarily my favorite thing to see or my favorite whatever, but like you said, because you saw a prelude to the Attitude, you see I feel like you see a lot of transitional symbolism in WrestleMania 12. Moving on to the main event, the 60-minute Iron Man match between Bret the Hitman Hart and the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels. Do I need to say anything about this? I really don't. We all know the magnitude. We all know the extent of this. We all know the story behind it now. That we have the Rivalries DVD. This is probably my all-time favorite match of all time because it has two of my favorites going at it.
Right. In
the best possible match. I get 60 minutes of my two favorite superstars of all time. You know, at one point they were 1 and 2. You know, and as I forgot how Mike calls it, 1 and 1.1, something like that.
1 and 1A.
Yeah, there you go. It's like, you know, they both are just my all-time favorite guys. I was definitely a Bret Hart fan first, but I became a Shawn Michaels fan because I felt like growing up, seeing different matches, Shawn Michaels was Bret Hart's biggest nemesis.
Right.
And you know, when I was a kid, that was always my thing. I needed to have a good guy, I had to have a bad guy, somebody that was gonna, you know, push my guy to the limit, almost like equals. You know, you have guys like Shawn and Bret, you got Mega Man and Proto Man. You know, these guys are people that cut from the same mold. You know, you got the Red Ranger versus the Green Ranger for all you young guys. That's Mighty Morphin, not this new stuff.
Right,
you know,
that was good stuff. Right.
You know, you had that one guy that was just as good that he could that made you say, oh wow, this bad guy's just as strong as a good guy, and if we're not careful, we could lose. I felt that way about Shawn and Bret. the finish was nuts because during a time where you didn't see that kind of stuff unless you were watching WCW. And even now, you can't even say WCW at the time because this is pre Nash and Hall, but it's obvious that Eric Bischoff was looking for something. Even if their reality-based stuff was sort of garbage at the time, but you didn't see this kind of stuff until WCW came along.
Right.
So you have like this storyline with these guys who look like they hate each other on TV.
Mm-hmm.
They really didn't. I think they naturally had tension, and that was obvious. But they really came off looking like they really didn't like each other because no shit at the end. Yep. Bret Hart loses out like, man, this is some crap. And then after that, you didn't see Bret Hart for a while.
It was one of the greatest matches because people sit back and you think Iron Man match, you think, okay, match gonna drag on, we can get bored with it. Mm-hmm. When you watch this match, it's like you get 60 minutes of wrestling, but it's not a point in time where you really get bored.
Right.
At least me personally, and that's what we said when we did the episode on the Best of Show Radio.
Yeah.
The roundtable discussion of the Bret Hart vs. Shawn Michaels rivalries DVD. Mm-hmm. Just sitting back looking at this now, it's a shame we couldn't got a lot more matches between those two when they were both in the main event. Yeah.
I guess in the Rivalries DVD, you hear Bret Hart talking about how they thought they were going to do it again at WrestleMania 13. But we know how that went down.
Yeah.
Instead of Shawn Michaels' knee injury, who missed the main event, thought was fake. It's still debatable. People still have opinions about it.
Yeah. But we wouldn't have got Stone Cold Steve Austin.
And I think that's what really launched who he was.
Oh, yeah.
Like I said, he had been Stone Cold for a while. You know what I mean? But that's what really launched him into that main event caliber because that match is just stole the show. You know what I mean? I don't remember nothing else on that card, barely, besides Undertaker versus Sid. I remember that for how bad that match was.
Right.
Especially after coming off a year where I've seen Undertaker, and Diesel, and then you get Undertaker and Psycho Sid. I was a fan of Psycho Sid as a kid because he was Psycho Sid, but I look back and say, wow, this guy was horrible.
He's going to acting now.
Hey, more power to him.
But nonetheless,
Awkwardly, I actually like Sid in WCW, his late career.
Okay.
I don't know, maybe he just got better or what, but I actually liked him in his late WCW career.
I ain't really... From the end of 98, I think after the finger poke of Doom, the only thing I really remember was Hogan returning to yellow and red and DDP winning the title. Everything else is a blur to me. Yeah. Oh, and Savage winning the belt when him and Nash were tag team at Great American Bash because I was supposed to go. My mother didn't want my grandmother to take me.
Everything That's messed up, ain't it? You could have went though.
She was like, your grandmother don't need to be down there with the crowd. I was like, but she said it's okay.
See, that
would have been my first time going to wrestling. Instead, I waited another 6 years.
Fact is, you got a chance to go.
Yeah.
And now you're going to WrestleMania. Isn't that nice?
Yes.
So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that is the Real Dwayne Allen's #2 favorite WrestleMania of all time. I've given you my list. Tell me what you think. Don't drill me, but that's just the reason I give you the reasons why it's important to me, why I enjoy it, and why I can watch it at any point in time.
And that's what people need to understand. This is our list of our favorites. We're not ranking the WrestleManias. We could, but we just don't want to. Maybe next year.
Yeah.
Depends if we feel like it. We're giving you reasons why these are our favorite WrestleManias, and when we deliver our #1, you will really understand that.
Naturally, this gives you an insight of who we are as people, who we are as wrestling fans, and gives you a bit of a history of how we got to the way we are and how we look at things the way we do now on the Wrestling Wrealm.
Mm-hmm.
With intelligence, understanding stuff. These matches and these moments and these WrestleManias, they intrigue us to learn more about the business, and not just for the sake of the business, but because you want to figure out what makes things tick. And hey, we're giving it to you. We're opening up ourselves to you, and we want you guys to do the same. Let us know your favorite WrestleManias on the Wrealm page, or hit us up, or whatever the case. And what we do, we always do. We rap wrestling.
Exactly.
So yeah, there you have it.
Well, that's all.
That's it.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, Real Dwayne Allen, Mr. Main Event Brian Waters. When you see us again, you will get our top favorite WrestleMania of all.